We talked about the safety of the bubbles that was talked about in another group, but don't we want to burst these bubbles? There's safety that exists in it, but how does one transport that to other places within the university, other experiences that one is having? How we might create environments that enable all populations to be themselves and not have to swim against the flow or the tide? How do we communicate to prospective students about having a place to create with others while not losing who you are? It's this idea about going back to collegiality in a diverse community.
That we're honest about the moment and the racial context of like what has even called us to have this conversation here today, and to honor the moment and not ignore it, and request to be who we say that we are, and not to shy away from that. So we say we're going to work towards equity to do those things.
We're still in a place where we need to raise a lot of awareness, helping people understand what folks are really dealing with. Also, in particular, how the actions, beliefs, and policies of people in power can really act as barriers to our goal for equity and access. And there's a strong need for transparency, honesty, and accountability from administration. Not just good intentions, but action. Working with admissions on the front end so that students come to NC State and ultimately want to stay connected to the university. Also looking at changing their strategy around scholarships, since a lot of students end up going to other universities because they get financial support from other places. Looking at exit interviews of faculty or BIPOC students who were admitted and maybe chose not to attend NC State. Why were those faculty leaving, or why weren't those students coming, so that we can maybe change our environment. Looking for ways that the colleges can earmark funding for diversity programs, and then our search committees, really trying to make NCSU an attractive place where folks want to come.
Universities should be places with no barriers, real or perceived. And these barriers could take the showing of a feeling of a lack of belonging, lack of comfort, and the disparities and whatnot. We further this with conversations on the need for the review of policies and procedures in order to make them more inclusive and make them more equitable. We need to take a look at the culture that exists within the campus community, but also the greater community, and at the micro level of the culture within our programs, within our offices, our units, and our organizations. And we have to affect that culture in a positive way and create a culture that is inclusive, that is inviting, that is supportive.
A desire to see an executable framework with teeth in it. A quote was, "Tired of talking about it, let's be about it." And maybe looking for some specific action steps. How do we bring those into this conversation who might be a little unwilling to have those uncomfortable conversations?
Students reminded me we are here because of them. We're here because of their organizing and their push for racial equity. And so some of the things that we talked about is that they really are the ones who raised the issues, and now they want the university to take action. They felt like there were some gaps in how different people perceive the issues based on the positionality. Think about how can we bring those positions together, and how can we prepare people to start from a common baseline and be able to make change